Okay, so thank you very much for coming to this particular seminar on a sharing on how to use 3D printer in teaching and development. So I am Joseph from the Department of Business Administration, and in fact, some of the material that I am going to share with you today is actually from my own teaching material for a particular course that is called BUS 403 Creativity, Innovation, and Change. Okay, so the outline of our sharing today is the following. I will first talk about who am I, give you some kind of background information, why I am interested in these technical things to be used in teaching. And I think many of you coming to this particular seminar, you have no idea about what is 3D printing. That is why I will give you a brief introduction in terms of what is 3D printing and what are available 3D printing technologies. And specifically, I've told ATLC to reserve a computer room because I would like you to also try downloading some kind of 3D designs online so that you will know where can you look for available 3D designs out there. So that in case in the future, in case you would like to buy this type of 3D printers to be put in your department, in your own office or at home, you know where to look for these design files and what kind of software that you could use to make modifications. And finally, I will show you how to operate a 3D printer. So this is my own 3D printer. I have one in my office. And I will show you how to operate and some kind of basic operations related to using this type of household domestic use 3D printer. And I think on the handout that I have distributed to you, there is one section at the middle, tell you the rough steps about how to operate such a 3D printer. And finally, I will give you some kind of things that I am currently doing and what will happen in the future related to the campus development using this sort of 3D printer in Xi'an University. Okay, so without further ado, so I am Joseph from the Department of Business Administration. I graduate from City University. I have my BBA and PhD degree in information systems over there. And I joined Xi'an University quite recently. So just I joined Xi'an University in September 2021. And also, I am a full member of the Hong Kong Computer Society and also a senior member of the CTU Foundation. Now, they give me a senior member because I run a scholarship in CTU. I use my own money to make a donation to finance some students to study their BBA program. And that's why they give me a chair over there. And sometimes when you see that I need to go to teaching, you will see some kind of trolley like this because I'm famous for taking a lot of these teaching aids to the classroom to facilitate my teaching. And I think I'm happy to show you how I make this type of teaching aid with a 3D printer in this workshop. So just to remind you, Joseph Kong is a registered trademark in Hong Kong. Don't call yourself Joseph Kong in Hong Kong, especially if you are working in the education and the computer industry. You will receive my warning. Okay. So okay, this is valid for 10 years. So I have registered my name in the Hong Kong trademark, Hong Kong Intellectual Property Office last summer. Okay, so just for fun. Just for fun. Okay, anyway, now let us start with talking about what is 3D printing. And many of you have heard about 3D printing, but maybe you have no idea about what is it. So basically, I will give you an introduction about what are available 3D printing technology nowadays. If we talk about some kind of household and domestic use 3D printers, usually we will relax. Okay, these famous brands are already in the handout. Okay, so I have already included these famous brands in the first part of the handout. Now, if we talk about household 3D printing, very likely you will have two technologies. The most common one we call FDM. okay, or sometimes we call 3F, okay. So it is called fused deposition modeling, and I will do more explanation on this because this is the most popular technology. And other popular, so-called popular technology is what we call the resin printing. Now, these two are the technology, domestically accessible 3D printing technology that very likely, if you go to some kind of company or if you go to some kind of vendor, you ask them for a 3D printer, very likely they will provide one of these printer that is available for you to choose from. Now, we have some more industrial techniques for 3D printing. So these I will just roughly touch what is it about on, and also give you some kind of video on, show you what are those about. Now on the left-hand side are some famous brand for 3D printer manufacturer. Now in case you go to some kind of shops in Hong Kong, they're very likely you will find 3D printers from one of the brands that are available, which is also on the handout that I have given you in the first part. Now I will talk about what is FDM. Now FDM is the most common type of 3D printing. Now the logic is very simple. You can see that this is a typical FDM machine. Now the typical FDM machine consists of several parts. First of all is that you will see something like that. You will have some kind of printing material that we call a filament. So basically, a typical filament is a roll of printing material like this. So this is what we call a filament. So usually come in a spool like this, and you load it to the 3D printer. Now the 3D printer will do something. There will be a build platform, or what we call a heater bed, which will go up to the highest level and start the printing, and then it will continuously lower down during the printing. 佢會將嗰個下邊呢個 heat bed 咧上到最頂，印咗第一層之後咧，佢慢慢走落去，跟住咧就 keep 住一路咁印，咁就變咗一個立體出嚟啦。咁所以 say for example, I can take this U letter, say for example, if you print it this way, so they will start the printing and then slowly lower down to come up with this 3D shape. So this is what we call the 3D printing. If we zoom in, okay, now if we zoom in, it looks like this. So basically, it is like very simple mathematical understanding. From dots, you have lines, and then you have a layer, and then if you stack layer together, you have 3D object. The same for FDM printing. We have lines after lines to form a layer, and if we stack this layer upwards, you will have a 3D object. So this is the idea of 3D printing. Now this is also called FFF, fused filament fabrication. Now the name is not important. Usually we call it FDM or FFF. Now if you go to a computer shop, you ask for a 3D printer. If you don't say anything, this is the default option. Okay, so FDM is basically the most common type of 3D printer that is accessible in domestic use. Now, it is originally patented in 1989, and as you may know, patent only waited for 20 to 25 years. After this patent expired many years ago, you start to see these sort of domestic use 3D printer available in the market because you don't need to pay license to strategize from that particular expiration date. Okay, now FDM comes with many different scales. This is a very typical household use FDM machine, or what we call the hobbyless grade. So basically, if you go to some kind of shops in Hong Kong, you ask for a domestic 3D printer machine, usually it costs you 2,000 to 5,000 Hong Kong dollar for a machine like this. So it's very cheap. You can buy one, you put it in your office, or buy one to put at your home. Now, a lot of these domestic use 3D printer, they have some kind of DIY focus. So that some model, they come in parts, not assembled yet. So you need to assemble it by yourself. Now, some are like this. They come assembled already. So in case you don't, just like me, you just don't want to worry about the assembling. Choose a machine that is already assembled. Now, it's very simple to operate. This is in fact originally designed as a children's toy for children to learn some kind of STEM or some kind of 3D modeling, but do not underestimate its ability. So you can see that some of the 3D model that I have printed out today all from this particular machine. So this particular set of SYU business, this hopes, this decoration was commissioned last year for the academic week, but it takes time to print out these letters. So I will have more explanation in terms of the speed and performance, and if you use the computer software, it will tell you how much time is needed to print out these things. So I will show you later on in this sharing. Now, FDM can scale up. You have some kind of machine that looks similar to a household item, but those are in fact a commercial grade machine. Usually it is much faster. Sometimes it's as fast as 5 times compared to the domestic use machine. And because of the better selection of the parts inside, it has a higher precision and also can operate at a higher temperature, so that you can use more advanced printing material other than the most basic one. Now, I will show you later on what kind of material that you can print from such a printer. If you continue to scale up, we have some kind of industrial grade machine. Now, these type of machines are very expensive, but they have a very large scale output. Usually, if you are working in the automobile industry or you are designing an aircraft, they will use this type of industrial grade machines to prototype the parts before large scale production. Now, I will show you this particular video. Maybe I will skip this one. So let me show you this industrial grade. So I have this particular video here. And I think in case you like traveling and if you watch YouTube, you will know this person, okay, quite a famous KOL in terms of traveling on airplane. Now, this is his particular visit to an aircraft that is currently in development. And that particular company has this type of industrial grade FDM machine. So let him show you what is happening.
Hi, my name is Ruslin, and I am one of the manufacturing engineers here at Boom Supersonic. And here behind me, we have 3D printers that we have used for the fabrication of XB1. 3D printing and additive manufacturing was a huge influence for the build of XB1, and I would love to show you guys some of the parts that we printed on these machines. All right, Samuel, what do you think this component right here is?
Absolutely no idea. But I know this one, as any pilot would know. This is a rubber panel.
Exactly. So,
but what is this? You got to tell me what is this, though.
This one is one of the coolest prototypes that we made here at Boom. In my opinion, it is a roll ratio changer. So the mechanism of this device is very simple. You have an input lever and an output lever, along with a ratio adjust. So basically, XB1 is very much like your car going down the freeway. The faster you go, the more sensitive your steering wheel is to any movements. And so as the aircraft speeds up, you want to make sure that the input of your roll stick is going to be proportional to the output. So basically, if I have this ratio adjust and I move my input, you can see that the output moves at its full swing. However, if I adjust my roll ratio away, the output gets reduced to about half its original play. And so this is very, very important so that during flight, when the airplane is flying faster than the speed of sound, a very slight movement to the stick isn't going to cause the airplane to become uncontrollable.
It's the 3D printing actually give you some benefit. You can trial and error.
Exactly.
Before in the old days, you don't have this. You order a part and then it takes longer time to work out, right?
Exactly. That's the biggest benefit of 3D printing is rapid prototyping. You could hit go on the machine and a couple hours later, you have a part sitting in the tray. In order to make parts, you need to have material to make the parts out of. And these machines use this little fine filament that gets fed into the machine. It gets heated through an extrusion tip and it gets printed on the bed. Well, Sam, I spent about half an hour and I made a little gift for you.
Let's see.
Right off.
This is like baking a cookie here. Oh
yes,
my God.
Exactly that.
This
So,
is my logo. How cool is this?
little memory for both Sam and myself.
Yeah.
First visit at Boom Supersonic.
Yeah, very nice.
So,
Okay, so this video shows you some rough idea how to use this sort of industrial grade 3D printer. Now, these type of 3D printer are very expensive, usually more than 50,000 US dollar for a machine like that. But of course, they come with industrial function, like they have a very large output. Now, you can see my domestic machine only has a very small printout area. So the largest size that I can print from this machine is only 17 cm times 17 cm times 16 cm. So basically, you can see if we put this one in a square, this is the largest that I can do from this particular machine. And if you have another letter that is here, so this is the maximum height that this particular machine could achieve. So this is as large as I can make from this sort of toys. Okay, so these are FDM scale, and you know that there are different grades of these FDM machine. Now I can show you another type of printing technology. So I told you for domestic use, usually you could access FDM, and another type of printing is called resin printing. Now this is the resin printing technology. Usually you can see the resin printer has its output upside down. Okay, has its output upside down. Now the logic or the mechanism used by resin printing is like nails of girls，好似女仔嗰啲指甲咁樣嘅。你油浸指甲之後咧，你要揾啲紫外光燈去照佢嘅。So it's like nails of girls. After you have some kind of nail oil or polishing, and you need to have some kind of UV light to solidify it. The same applies here. So resin printing is using the same mechanism. So you have a pool of these sort of UV sensitive liquid resin that you can put into this particular tank. And depending on what kind of light source you have for this particular UV light, you can have laser, you can have a projector, or you can have an LCD screen. You can solidify a particular part in a particular layer. And this particular printing output will slowly lift up to reveal the latest layer. That is why usually resin printing, you will see the output is upside down like that, because it's slowly lifting up, and with the UV sensitive resin in the tank here. Now, it is a little bit, messy to handle. That is why, in case you are a beginner and if you are buying a 3D printer, I will not recommend this one unless you know what kind of output that you want. Now, this sort of resin printing compared to FDM printing, usually the output size is smaller, but it will be able to achieve a very high resolution. That is why usually, in case you are a domestic user, you buy a resin printing, that very likely you like those type of modeling. OK， 你自己咧係砌嗰啲模型啊、膠公仔嗰啲咧，你就會買 resin printing. OK, so it has a much higher resolution, and for industrial use, it is usually being used for jewelry design and those type of dental applications. For those applications that require a very high resolution but output is very small, resin printing is more desirable than FDM printing. FDM printing is better if you have object that is larger. Okay, you look from a far away so that those type of minor misprint will not be easily noticeable. Okay, so because of the nature of this UV sensitive liquid resin, using resin printer is a little bit messy. When you print it, you need to have the liquid pulled inside this particular tank. After printing, you need to clean. After printing, you also need to make sure that, you need to clean up this particular area. And also while you are printing, you need ventilation. Okay, so there will be some kind of toxic gas released from those type of resin. And in case you are doing it at home, remember to open the window. Okay, so that is why FDM is much more popular for that unless you have special applications, unless you have special needs, like I want a very high precision and resolution for my output. So there are other industrial methods. I have told you that there are some other industrial applications for 3D printing that is not easily accessible for domestic use. Now, I will show you one example here. This particular 3D printing method is called the powder bed fusion. So let me show you this video, and I will do some explanation here. So in case you like headphones, you like those type of hi-fi, you will recognize this brand. This brand is Sennheiser, famous for making audio equipment. And this is one of their recent product that is called the IE 600 in-earphone. Now, they are using a 3D printing technology to make this part, okay, the casing of this particular earphone. They use a special alloy to produce this one to make it very hard. So this is a video about the making of this particular shell for the earphone.
We are here in our facility at Reus Alloy, where we manufacture the IE600 housings. Those are made with the 3D printing technology, made of amorphous metals, and then it's post-processed to being able to have them assembled at Sennheiser finally.
The first time we heard of this amorphous zirconium was in 2018, so that actually kick-started the idea of a new in-ear line, this very premium material. It showed us that we could do so much more. The main advantages of amorphous
here to show you what is happening. Now, this particular 3D printing technology is called powder bed fusion. So you can think about it this way. You have a very thin layer of metal powder, okay, put on a printing surface, and then you use a laser to melt the part that you want, layer by layer. So you have one layer of metal powder, you melt one layer, and then you put another thin layer of metal powder, lower the printing surface a little bit, and then print another layer. Continue to lower up till you have the desirable shape. So this is the way this particular powder bed fusion works at the industrial scale. But you can see, because there is metal powder, so it is even more messy than resin printing. Okay, resin printing, you just need to open the window. This one, you need gas mask, okay, to make sure that the powder metal will not get into your lung. That is why you will never find these sort of things in a house as a household item, okay, for you to do 3D printing. But the output for this sort of industrial
zirconium are really extreme durability, so it's much less tougher than high-performance steels, and at the same time it has also a very long lifetime, and also it's a very unique way of manufacturing that we are able here to 3D print it and really enable new geometries is something that is not possible with other materials.
Okay, you can see
Normally amorphous metals or alloys, which are zirconium-based, are used in space, for example. I have one example here with me. So this is a drill head which was used by NASA on a Mars expedition. So this was used to cut ice.
Working really at the cutting edge of technology is always super exciting, and knowing that we work on the same materials that also the most demanding really organizations in the world use, like NASA, is an extremely exciting
so you can see the cleaning
always
up
makes
is very troublesome as well. This is a sonic bar, the same one that you see in those obstacle shops to clean your glasses. Okay, same type of technology. Use sonic wave to clean up those type of residual metal powder.
Always makes your heart jump if you're an engineer or just a tech fan, really. The housing's main purpose is, of course, to protect the materials inside, and our transducer is extremely high-end, so it's fantastic that the outer housing also reflects this really a high-end approach that we took to the sound technology inside.
Here, now this is some kind of industrial method for 3D printing. So this type of technology, once again, need dust filtering, and you need special knowledge on those type of metal and alloy in order to work with this sort of industrial used 3D printing method. So the next one, so you have some kind of idea about various 3D printing technology. This is FDM. And other common type of technology that you could use at home is resin printing. And there are also some industrial level 3D printers. Now, how to apply the 3D printing in our daily life? Let's say in a university, let's say in the industrial use, how to apply it. Now, we could look at the design thinking procedure. Now, in design thinking, we talk about 5 steps. And in design thinking, they emphasize a lot in the prototype and the testing. So in design thinking, there is a philosophy. You have an idea, but you will not know if your idea works until you make it. Okay, until you make it out, until you test it, and then you will know that whether your idea works or not. Now, 3D printer nowadays allow you to do these type of things very rapidly. Let's say, for example, if you have an idea, you can immediately do some kind of prototyping. You design one, you print one, and then you try to test one. And if you are happy with the output, then congratulations. If you are not happy with the output, you can go back to the idea stage, go back to the drawing board, and then revise that prototype, and then several hours later, you will have another prototype for you to test it. 3D printer in an office or in a university allow you to do this type of testing very rapidly. Nowadays, I think many secondary school in Hong Kong, they emphasize a lot of this STEM education, and this type of machine also facilitate students to test out their ideas in terms of the STEM education. As I have told you, this machine that I have brought is intended to be a children's toy. Okay, so it's just 2,000 something Hong Kong dollar, but do not underestimate its printing ability. And also, for my use case, I will also make some kind of teaching aids. So you can see this sort of things are for promotional use in my department. And this one is actually one of the teaching aids that I have printed for one of my courses, the Error de Bono's L game in a physical form. Now I can show you. I think I have a photo somewhere here in this sort of slide. Is like this one. Now I will also show you where I have found this particular design online. This is not designed by me. This is designed by someone else. What I do is go to this type of social network, download the file, and then I print it out, and then I can use it in my course. Okay, so this is I will show you later. But this sort of 3D printing machine are very useful in terms of, let's say, if you have some kind of products that is a small production run. So it may not be financially feasible for you to do some kind of large scale production. For those type of situations, some company will go for the 3D printing solution. Or sometimes you may have some kind of request from your customer that you may need some kind of made-to-order parts or made-to-order products. And finally, just like the example that I have shown to you, those type of headphone housing, sometimes they are in a very complicated geometry. So that 3D printing will allow you to do those type of very minor, complex geometry manufacturing. And finally, it is widely used in architecture and engineering nowadays. So when you would like to build a real model, you can build a small scale one and then test it maybe in the wind tunnel, or maybe do it some kind of other testing before you make a larger one. So some kind of miniature model you can make and then do some kind of testing before you make a bigger version. So this is the application of 3D printing nowadays in our daily life and in education and in manufacturing and in some kind of engineering area. So these are some kind of basic concepts and basic idea of what is 3D printing and what are the available 3D printing technology. In case before you buy a 3D printer, here are some kind of steps for you to prepare something before you buy a 3D printer. Let's say, for example, as some kind of preparation, I think I will tell you something about where can you find this type of 3D design file, just like my teaching aid. Some of those are not designed by me. I just download it somewhere from the internet, and then sometimes I will make modifications. Some are my designs. I will also show you some kind of software that you can view your download or make modifications to your downloads. And also, this type of software will also allow you to design from scratch. Now, this one here is designed by me. My department head asked me, oh, this type of foam board is not, it's not easy to put on the table. Is there anything that you can do? Now, this is my particular design for this particular application. So it is actually a stand for this type of foam board for department promotional purposes. And because it is custom made, I have specifically write SYU business here, proudly. 咁可以 customize， 咁啊，梗係要寫埋啲嘢啦。Okay, so these are some kind of design. So this is a very simple design that is designed by me, only for the purpose of displaying this sort of foam board. Okay, so I will show you how I do it and what kind of software is available. And before running the 3D printer, you also need to have some kind of tools. Now, these are some kind of basic tools, but very likely you have already forgot how to use it. Now, these are some kind of mathematical measurement tools like ruler, square, compass, some kind of things. Now, I keep these sort of things in my own particular office, and in case you need some kind of precision measurement for this type of engineering need, these are some kind of precision measurement device, which in case you are doing some kind of printing, sometimes you need to check the width. Okay, so this is the way you make sure your printout is same as your particular design, and in case there are some kind of variation, you need to make adjustment accordingly. Okay, so these are some kind of basic tools, which in case you need to run a 3D printer, you need to have these sort of things. And also, I will show you how to use this one later. Okay, so these are some kind of basic tools that you need before running a 3D printer. And of course, for 3D printing, just like this sort of FDM device, you of course need to buy the printing material. This is called the filament. And there are a lot of different filament available on the market, and I will show you what are their differences. Okay, so first of all, where to find the 3D file designs? Nowadays, social network is very popular. And in fact, for 3D designs, there are two popular social networks for 3D designs. Now, both of these are provided by one of the very popular 3D printer manufacturer. So the first website is called Thingiverse, and another one is called Printable. So both are from one of the popular 3D printer manufacturer. So let me show you this sort of website. So you can follow this link. And I think I have also included a link on your handout. Now this is the Thingiverse, where you can, in fact, search some kind of design. Now, later in this seminar, I will also show you where to find this sort of design. So this is the website number one. Another website is called Printable. It is also another social network where you can find some kind of available designs. So these are the two websites where you don't need to worry about the design for yourself. Okay, you can download existing design that was made by somebody on this planet. And I need to tell you how to recognize this type of 3D design files. There is a file extension. So just like this one, now the one that I have just shown it to you. Now let me type, okay, so in Printable, okay. So let me go to Printable. Now I have shown you one of the teaching aids that I have used for my course is the Edward De Bono L game. So on this Printable, I can show you as an example. You can search L game here. And there are quite a number of designs. And I think the first design here is the one that I've used to do the print out. Now, if you look for this type of design on this type of social network, usually there will be a category called files. And if you can see something with .stl or something with .3mf, so these are the two typical 3D design file types that you could download from this sort of social network. This type of file consists of the 3D design. And for the detailed comparison of these two, I will not go through it. The only thing that you need to worry about is both of these two types of files could not be read by the 3D printer directly. There is an additional procedure that you need to do to convert this STL or 3MF file into some kind of printing instructions that the 3D printer could recognize, called the G-code file. 嗱，記住咧 ，STL 或者 3MF 咧 ，3D printer 咧係讀唔到嘅。OK，3D printer 係讀唔到嘅。咁所以咧，再有多一個過程咧，就叫 slide 變成一個 printing instruction。嗰個 printing instruction 就叫 G code。OK，so there is one additional step. Reading the 3D design file using one app, and there is another app that I will introduce to you later, usually provided by the 3D printer manufacturer, to convert this type of 3D design into something that could recognize by 3D printer. And also, when you look at these sort of designs available on the social network, make sure to check the printing parameters. Sometimes the printing parameters will matter, and I will show you what kind of parameter you need to worry about later on when I demonstrate how to use this type of software. Okay, the next slide. Now, how to read in case you have downloaded the STL file. So, just in case, I would like to download this L game, and this particular L game consists of 3 different models. You have the board, you have the neutral piece, and you have the L piece. So say, for example, let me have a demonstration. Let me download this one. Okay, board.stl, and then it will download an STL file that contains this particular design. And on in Windows, it comes free of charge. Okay, so in the start bar, you can find 3D Builder here. 嗱，咁呢個咧，其實咧就 Windows 咧，有時有裝，有時冇裝嘅。So this particular 3D Builder is actually provided by Microsoft for free for you to do simple modification and viewing of 3D model files, including .stl and .3mf file. Now, in case you cannot find it, on any Windows machine, you will find this Microsoft Store. In the Microsoft Store app, in case it is not provided on your computer, what you need to do is search 3D Builder in this particular search bar, and then you will find this particular app. And I think the university computer here already have it installed. But in case it is not installed yet, you can search in the Microsoft Store and you can get this particular 3D Builder app. So once you have downloaded the 3D Builder app, you can open this STL file. So let me see my download folder. So this is the board.stl that I have just downloaded from this type of social network, and I can double click it. And Microsoft 3D Builder will show me this particular design. So you can click this import model, and then this is the model that you have just downloaded from the internet. Now, this particular app is for beginner use. Okay, it's for beginner use. So as a beginner, if you are new to 3D printing, you can use this particular 3D Builder app provided by Microsoft to view and to make modifications on some kind of 3D models that you have downloaded from the internet. And also, in case you have some kind of idea, and in case you have confidence, you can actually create a new scene and then start from scratch. Let's say, for example, I could have a cube, and then I can actually change, move it around, and also I can change the size, something like that. And when you try to put these type of different polygons together, you will eventually able to make something like this. So very simple polygon shape that I have designed from scratch to achieve this one. And also this UFO, okay, this one is also designed by me. Okay, I will show you the 3D model later. So this is the beginner app that you can view and make slight modification to these models that you have downloaded from the internet. And once you have the confidence of using the 3D printer or do some kind of 3D modeling like this, you can also look online to find other professional use 3D modeling programs. Many of those are from computer-aided design, so for CAD. So these are some kind of engineering programs like the Autodesk Fusion 360, FreeCAD, and Tinkercad. Now there's another type of 3D modeling software, Blender, for example. These are designed for, let's say, designing 3D games. Okay, 嗰啲咧遊戲入邊嗰啲 3D 嗰啲角色咧，好多咧就係用 Blender 砌嘅。So basically, you can make very beautiful models using 3D models using Blender. But due to time constraint and because this is just an introduction and beginner 3D printer, I will not show you these advanced software here. So once you go back to your office and once you go back home, you can go online, go to Microsoft Store and download this one and start playing with the beginner software to try constructing something. Now there is another important software that you need. It's called a slicer. So remember, I have told you the .stl and the .3mf cannot be read directly by the 3D printer. There is a conversion process called the slicer. Now, this particular type of software usually will be provided by the 3D printer manufacturer. Okay, usually will be provided by a 3D printer manufacturer. So, after you have bought a 3D printer from the vendor, usually they will give you the link, or you need to go to the official website of the 3D printer manufacturer to download a software called Slicer. Now, I will show you. The 3D printer that I use is from one of the popular brands called Creality. Now, this is the Creality official website. And if you go to all products, you will be able to find my printer. So my printer is this one. Okay, Sermoon V1. Okay, this one, Sermoon V1. Okay, so you can see from this advertisement photo, this is intended for children's toy. Okay, this is intended to be used by children, very simple to operate and very safe to operate. Now, if you look at, okay, so if you look at here, so in the, usually any manufacturer of a 3D printer will provide some kind of downloads for you. If you click on download here, here are some kind of downloads that are for this particular program, for this particular 3D printer. What you need to look at is like this one. Okay, download the slicing software. This is the software that is usually designed by the 3D printer manufacturer to use in conjunction with the 3D printer that they make. And accordingly, this particular software will be able to convert the .stl or .3mf file into something like a printing instruction for your particular 3D printer. Now, for my example here, I will download this one, Creality Slicer 4.8 from 2, and you can click on this one. Okay, so two softwares. One, the 3D Builder app provided by Microsoft. The second one, look for the slicer provided by your 3D printer manufacturer. So where is my download? Okay, so let me open this particular app and set it up. Okay, so once you have bought a 3D printer or designed a 3D printer model, you need to download the slicer from the manufacturer, which may take some time to do this type of setup. So let me continue while we are waiting. So let's have a try. Okay, let's have a try. Now, this one I have already shown you. This 3D builder, I think very likely you have it on your particular computer already. If you don't have it, oh, let me install this one. So if you don't have this one for your computer in your office, you can go to the Microsoft Store, search 3D Builder, and then you will be able to download this thing. Now, this one I have already shown to you. Now, this is some kind of teaching aid for strategic thinking in one of my course, BUS 403. This is the Edward de Bono's L game, and I think I have already shown it to you here. Okay, so this is exactly the model that I have printed for my teaching use. So you can see only the color is different because the color of printing you can choose by using different color of the filament. Okay, you can use different color of printing material to achieve this different color from the design. And also, now maybe I can show you another one. Now, we can go to another social network of Thingiverse. You can try to search this one. Okay, Nerf Pathfinder. Now, this is the sort of things that I like to do. Okay. Okay, now, these are some kind of toys that you can buy in Toys R Us. 玩具反斗城有得賣嘅。But me and my friend like to play this type of children's toys competitively. Okay, that's why we need to make some kind of modifications to this sort of toys that are available somewhere. Now, I am a strange person. If you buy this particular toy from Toys R Us, it costs you around 200 to 300 Hong Kong dollar. But I myself, because I like to do it competitively, I would like to add some kind of aiming device on top. Okay, now, children's toy will not allow you to do that. But engineer comes up with some kind of solution. We make modifications to our toy. So this upper part here will be able to, let's say you can use a real aiming sight on your toy gun. And somebody online, if you search the keyword that I have provided to you. So this is Thingiverse. Okay, now if I search Nerf Pathfinder here, you can see a lot of people like to make modifications to this type of toys, and their modifications are uploaded to the social network at your disposal. So what you want is, you don't need to design it by yourself. You just go online to see if somebody had already come up with such modification, and then you download, you load it to your 3D printer, and then you can print it out. The one that I am using now is a modification to this one. Okay, this part. Okay, this part is download from the social network. So you can see, same as mine. Okay, so a replacement part on your toy so that you can use a better gun sight for your toy. Now, I have made modification using the 3D builder because this particular person, I am not sure. He is using a different sight from mine because I use real gun sight. Real gun are designed to shoot 300 meters. This one at most 5 meters. And that's why I need to make sure that the elevation is different. And you can see from this particular PowerPoint slide. Now, this is the modification that I have made. So on the left-hand side, you will see that it is horizontal. Okay, this is the original design that is available online. I have made modifications so that the angle is slightly tilted downward. Okay, to accommodate the shooting distance difference. So rather than shooting 300 meters, this one shoot only 5 meters. That's why you need to have a slightly angled tilting downward to accommodate the accuracy. So the accommodate the shooting accuracy. And this one is actually made by myself. Okay, I found that 12 round is not good enough for me, so that I have tried to make a cupola like this to attach 2 magazines together. And I have brought my particular design here as a demonstration today. And so this is the particular design that I have made on the 3D Builder app in order to attach 2 magazines together, so that rather than having 12 rounds, when I do competitively, I can have double the capacity. Okay, so this is the mindset we have when we talk about 3D printing. When you can make something, it's time to get creative. Okay, so let me put aside this interesting thing. I have another design that is also modified from that one. This one. Okay, so this one is actually also my modification. So rather than only a short rail here, I have an extended rail forward, but I have not printed out and bring it to you here. But this is just a demonstration. After you have downloaded something, you can also make modifications to suit your particular need. Okay, so let me see if the slicer is ready. Now this one, I think the installation is complete, and I will show you how to use the slicer. Now, you have a software for you to do the 3D printing and modification. You have another software that is required to operate the 3D printer that is called the slicer. Now, let me open the slicer. Now, when the first time you load up the slicer, okay. Now, the purpose of using this slicing software is that it will convert the 3D design into the printing instruction to tell the 3D printer how to print out something. It consists of a number of things. Let's say, for example, it will, if you are using the slicer provided by the manufacturer, it will already, if you select the correct printer, already define what is the maximum dimensions that this particular printer can print, what is the resolution, what is the printing speed, and what is the temperature. Okay, these are already provided by the manufacturer if you are using the slicer provided by the same manufacturer. There are, of course, other parameters that you need to set it by yourself, and I will roughly tell you what are the default values. So this particular file is called the .gcode file, and it can be loaded up here. So in a 3D printer, you have some kind of storage device. Sometimes it's a USB drive, sometimes it's a SD card. What you need to do is you have a card reader like this. You plug it to your computer. You copy the .gcode file here, and then you have the SD card put into your 3D printer, and your 3D printer will be able to recognize the file, the printing instruction, and accordingly print it out accordingly. So let me put it back, and I will demonstrate this one later. So let me show you here. Now, if you load up the slicer, it looks like this. For the first time you run this particular slicer, okay, there is some kind of user agreement, agree. Next, okay, now here, it will ask you to give the corresponding model of your 3D printer. The model that I'm using is the Sermoon V1, so that I will click on this one, the Sermoon V1. So just like I have told you, if this particular slicer is provided by the manufacturer, it will already have some kind of default value provided related to this particular printer. Let's say, what is the maximum width that it can print? What is the depth? What is the height? And accordingly, what is the corresponding print head value? You don't need to worry about these. Okay, you don't need to worry about this. And for example, some kind of parameter setting, you don't need to worry about the setting as long as you are using the slicer provided by the manufacturer. Okay, so this is the printing space for your particular 3D printer. If I would like to print out something, so for example, I will use the thing that I have just downloaded board from the Aero de Bono L game. Now, in case you would like to print out something, it's very easy. You just drag and drop this .stl file, and then it will show you the corresponding thing that you would like to print in this particular printer, and show you whether it fits into your printing area. 如果你太大嘅話，咁譬如話佢咁樣走咗出去嘅話，咁呢個咧就唔可以 print 啦。Okay, because it's too large for this particular printer. And accordingly, there is another thing you need to worry is that you need to adjust what is the printing material that you are using. This one I will explain it later. What kind of printing material that you are using? Let's say, for example, I am using the PLA, something like that. So this one I will explain. So after you have selected the corresponding printing material, then you can click Slide. Now here, it will give you an estimation how much time and how much material is needed for this particular printing. So just like here on this particular wheel here. So the toy that I have used spent 1 hour 27 minutes, and it will consume 8 grams of material. Here, this one, if I would like to print the board of the Aero de Bono L game, okay, this one, okay, this part. So this part here, the slicer tell me it will take 3 hours and 1 minute and require 21 grams of filament. So you have an estimation. Now, let me show you another example here. I have told you that when I print these alphabets for my department last year for the academic week promotion, it takes me quite a long time. So let me show you the letters that I have printed in the last year. 咁舊年用咗好多時間去 print 呢個嘢，即係籌備咗3個星期。Okay, so BA letter. So let me show you the letter S. So this is the letter S here. So let me put it back to the middle. So this is as large as my 3D printer can print. And if I slice it, okay, so you can see how much time I have spent to print out this letter. 17 hours, 25 minutes. That is why last year before the academic week, I spent 2 to 3 weeks of time to get these letters done. Okay, I just, at around 9 o'clock every night, I start the printing and make sure that the printing, the earlier part is okay, and then I will leave. Next morning when I come back to the office, and then I will check the result. Okay, and usually it will finish. Okay, so, and also you have an estimation of how much printing material that you need. Of course, there are some other adjustment that you can, some other parameter that you can set. Say, for example, I can do some kind of preview. Okay, now you can see the middle part is in fact hollow. Okay, the middle part is in fact hollow. 入邊有空心嘅其實。Okay, so you have some kind of what we call an infill. So how much infill you can change it by yourself. Usually, for this type of large printing, we will set it to 10 or 20%. Okay, you can, of course, for your particular application, you can fully fill up you can fully fill up the inside, okay, for in case that is your application. So you can set it to 100%, and accordingly, if you slice it, you will know how much time it takes. Okay, 4 days, 13 hours and 59 minutes, and the total weight is 875 grams. Okay, 嗱，如果係實心嘅話咧，就要印4日㗎啦。Okay, that is why, okay, this one, for simplicity, I have the infill of only 10%. Now, this particular infill will affect the strength of your 3D model. So just in case, you would like to have a stronger or heavier printout, you need to adjust how much infill that you need. 入邊究竟你想嗰個實心嘅情況去到幾多 ？And also, sometimes because of the method of printing, you have the first layer and then second layer and then third layer slowly stack up each other. That is why when you are printing a particular 3D model, if you have some kind of angles that is more than 30%, then I will recommend you to have some kind of support to support the higher layer. 如果咧你嗰個 3D model 係上邊闊下邊窄嘅話咧，如果個傾側係超過30度嘅話咧，你最好咧就有一啲 support 去頂住。如果唔係咧，佢會冧落嚟嘅。如果唔係你印嘅時候咧，佢冇嘢撐住咧，就會變形或者會個 printing 會失敗嘅。So let me show you here. Now this. So let me show you another design. So just show you this one. Okay, the one that I have made for my toy use, the cupola. Okay, so you can see this one is exactly the one that I have told you. Okay, you have the upper part without support. Okay, you cannot print it successfully because you need to have some kind of things to push it against gravity when you print it out. That is why if you slice it, there will be some kind of warning telling you that it may not be successful. You can see that if you watch from the bottom, the red will show you this is highly likely to be a failure. And accordingly, you can turn on the support. Now the support will generate now the support will generate some kind of supporting structure so that once you have printed out, you need a cutter to remove the parts that is not needed. Okay, and then you will have your desirable shape. Okay, something like that. Okay, they will print the support, and what you need is have a cutter to cut out the parts that is not required from your design, and then you will have a shape that is desirable. So these are some kind of parameters that in the slicer. So these are some kind of parameters that in the slicer, a user could make adjustment to suit their particular printing need. The last thing that I would like to talk about in this part here is about the printing material. So I have showed you in the slicer, you can adjust you can choose what kind of printing material that you are using. For a typical household 3D printer like this, okay, so for a typical 3D printer like this, if you go to a computer shop, you tell them that I want printing material, they will sell you this thing. Okay, this is assumed by default. This is called the PLA material, the polylactic acid. So, 任何嘅家用 3D printer 咧，如果唔提你想買咩要 print 嘅物料咧，多數都係買 PLA 噶。So if you say nothing in terms of buying the printing material, they will give you PLA because it is the most typical domestic use FDM printing material. It is carefree, it's very easy to print with a relatively low printing temperature, around 200 degrees Celsius. 大概200度左右呢樣嘢就用，應該過咗185度就開始用㗎。不過多數我哋都會係195到200度呢個 printing temperature 嘅。And also, in case you are environmentalist, this is biodegradable. Okay, in case you are this biodegradable in the natural environment, it will dissolve by itself. Depending on your particular application and the capacity of your particular 3D printer, in case you have special applications, just like you have engineering need, you would like to have your printout to withstand some kind of stress from the manufacturing industry or engineering industry, like the force of pressing, okay, the force of pulling and the force of bending. Okay, these sort of things, you may need to have special plastic or printing material for your particular application. We have what we call ABS. In case you play Lego, Lego is made by ABS. Lego 就用 ABS 做嘅。Okay, and we have something called a PPE. PPE is like a rubber-like elastic material. Now, in case you are like me, you wear an Apple Watch. The Apple Watch band, in fact, is made by a type of PPE material. We have polycarbonate. Now, polycarbonate is in itself could be made transparent. That is why a lot of bulletproof glasses are made with polycarbonate. Those are not real glasses, those are plastic. 所謂嘅防彈玻璃唔係真係玻璃嚟嘅，所謂嘅防彈玻璃好多時係 polycarbonate，係一塊膠片嚟嘅。Okay, but they are very strong and able to withstand some kind of bullets. We have more strong material like nylon or carbon fiber infused material. Now, these are material for special applications. That is why it requires higher printing temperature. Let's say, for example, for ABS, it requires printing temperature of over 260 degrees or even higher. And also, some of these printing material will require you to keep the whole printing environment at a certain temperature to prevent cracking. 如果 ABS print 嘅時候突然間降溫嘅話，會裂開嘅。So these are some kind of special material for special application and may require more advanced 3D printer. That is why you buy a household 3D printer, you go to a shop, you ask for some kind of printing material, they will give you PLA. And these type of special application, because of their strength, the wear and tear of the printing nozzle will be much faster and may require more frequent maintenance. Okay, so if you are a domestic user, just like me, I will stick with only one printing material. And remember, all these filament are very sensitive to humidity. And if you put it in a dry environment, it will make your print out more beautiful. 咁個表面會少啲起粒粒嘅。Okay, if you put your filament in a humid-free storage, your next print out will be more smooth. Okay, compared to a humid filament. That is why I myself like to have some kind of airtight bags that you can find in supermarket, and accordingly, you put some kind of silicate gel to remove the water vapor from the spool of printing material for us to keep it. Now, if you buy a new roll of printing material, it comes like this. Okay, and they usually comes with this type of vacuum sealed bags until you open it. Okay, until you open it. So once you open it, you need to try to keep it like this. And usually, a typical roll of these filament is 1 kilogram. Okay, 多數一個 roll 買翻嚟咧就係多數1 kilo. Okay, 1 kilogram of printing material. And you can see this one, by the way, in case you would like to check how many printing material was left here, you need some kind of measurement tool. So just like some kind of your kitchen household item. So you turn it on, and then you put your spool here. It will give you a reading. So this is 466. 咁啊呢度咧就仲有大概466 gram 嘅 printing material. Okay, and you need to deduct the weight of the spool as well. Is around 160. That is so this is around 160. That is why this we have how to say around 300 grams left from this particular row of printing material. So this one is very important if you want to do 3D printing very seriously. Okay, so what else? Okay, now let me show you how to operate the 3D printer after talking about all these files, downloads, what kind of software that you use. Then let me demonstrate how to use this thing. Now, in your handouts, I have already provided you the rough steps in order to operate a 3D printer. Now, this is in fact the same as the part that you have on your handout. To operate a FDM printer usually is divided into these steps. The first one is some 3D printer. They are more DIY focused. They come not assembled, and then you need to assemble itself. Some 3D printer like mine, they come assembled already, so you don't need to worry about the assembling. When you buy a 3D printer, you can choose what kind of 3D printer that you want. I would like to save the trouble. That's why I brought my 3D printer as a completed kit. And there's a important step that is called leveling. And rather than me talking myself, I will show you the instruction video provided by this particular manufacturer. And also, after this leveling, I will do some kind of demonstration. How to load the filament into this machine, how to start printing, and after printing, how to tidy it. So the first 3 steps are very simple. What you need to do is when your 3D printer arrives, so this is in my office last summer, the 3D printer arrives, and you can go to the manufacturer YouTube channel. Usually they will provide some kind of instruction telling you how to start using this particular 3D printer. So let me show you this particular video here. Okay, so this is exactly my 3D printer. So it comes with some kind of basic tools for you to do. And you need to remove all the packaging. Okay, just the So before loading the filament, there is another important step that is called leveling. Now, leveling nowadays, some 3D printer can do it automatically because you can see the 3D printing logic is like you have one layer stacking on each other. If the first layer is not level, then the first layer cannot stick successfully to the heat bed. Then you will not have a successful printout. That is why this particular procedure in some of the 3D printers, they will do it automatically. But for the machine that I use, it will not be automatic. That's why there is another YouTube video provided by the manufacturer tell you how to do it. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why I'm buying this brand, because there's a lot of DIY video and how-to video provided on their YouTube channel. So accordingly, they will tell you some kind of instruction, and I think I will scroll it here. So just like this one. Okay, you need to do some kind of fine adjustment to make sure that to make sure that at the initial stage, the printing nozzle is barely touching, the heat bed, usually the width of a piece of A4 paper. 多數就會攝咗張 A4 紙啱啱上面同下面刮到咧，咁我哋就為之一個好嘅 leveling 啦。Okay, so I will show this particular video, and accordingly, you need to do some kind of fine adjustment to make sure that the printing nozzle is barely touching the heat bed with the width of the A4 paper for this type of adjustment. Now, you don't need to worry too much on this issue because some modern 3D printer will do this step automatically. 而家好多咧 3D printer 呢個 step 咧就自己做㗎啦，已經唔使自己做㗎啦。不過我呢個就舊少少。Okay, so there are 5 points. Now, this particular procedure is called leveling. Okay, align the heat bed to barely touch the nozzle with the thickness of the A4 paper. Now, some modern 3D printer can do this step automatically. Now, the next one is I'm going to show you how to feed. Now, in case you would like to start a 3D printer, how to load up the filament accordingly. So, let me turn it on. Okay. And I need to have my cutter ready. Okay. Need to have my cutter ready. And in order to feed the filament, it's very simple. You just first remove the top part here. And then you need to make sure that the filament is not hiding a knot by itself. 咁啊，一般情況之下佢都唔會打裂嘅，咁但係如果打裂嘅話就會好麻煩，會整壞部機嘅。咁所以咧 So let me push this aside. And what I need to do is put it here. Okay, and there is a feeding hole somewhere here. Oh, now I need to make a cut. Around a 45-degree cut will make the feeding a little bit smoother. Okay, a clean cut, something like that. And then you load it up here, up till you find the filament appear from another side. Okay, something like that. And you can use the function provided by the printer. Now, a lot of these feeding functions are provided by the printer automatically nowadays. So what you need to do is just follow the steps. So let me click on this print mode, feed and retreat. Now I would like to do the feeding. So it will give you some kind of instruction. So load your filament according to this instruction. And then there is a feeding hole on top of the printing nozzle. What you need to do is put it deep down and then press OK. Now it will slowly heat up to around 240 degrees Celsius. So up to a point, the filament keep on coming up. 咁啊，去到一個咩位啦？咁要少少時間，因為佢而家咧就會加熱到大概240度左右。咁去到240度咧，咁嗰啲 filament 咧就會一路咁樣擠出嚟嘅時候咧，咁我就要撳 OK 去停咗佢啦。咁就係一個 successful loading. Okay, this is a successful loading. It is heating up very fast, so please wait up till you can see. Maybe I can also put it here as well. 咁樣啦，咁樣啦。咁樣。OK 嗱，咁你見到有啲嘢出啦。So you can see the material is coming out. Okay, and then I can stop it. Okay, then it is a successful feeding. Okay, so what you need to do is just remove this one, but be careful not to touch the nozzle because it's 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, it is very hot. Now, so this is the completion of the feeding so that you can assemble back the top cover. Okay, now the next thing is about printing. Now I have already told you, once you have used the slicing software, it will generate a G-code file. What you need to do is copy the G-code file into the SD card or into a thumb drive that in case your 3D printer uses a thumb drive. Before printing, I will suggest you to apply some kind of glue on this printing surface to make the first layer stick better. 咁啊，多數咧，我哋咧呢個咧，我哋咧就會落少少漿糊落去嘅。So the first layer for easy sticking, for better sticking. So usually I will apply some kind of glue into the area that you would like to print out something. So a thin layer is good enough. Okay, so into the area that you would like to print, and then what you need to do is, after you have loaded up the G-code file, you can choose the file that you would like to print here. So let me, maybe I can demonstrate, then I need to apply a bigger area. Okay, so make it a little bit larger because it's a large area. Okay, so just try to demonstrate how to start, but because of time constraint, I cannot show you the complete printing. But let me, where is it? Okay, let me demonstrate how to start printing this thing. Okay, I have the G-code inside, so this is the L board, and then I can start the printing. Now there will be some delay because the heat bed, the bottom layer, need to heat up to around 60 degrees. And then the nozzle need to heat up to around 200 Celsius, the printing degree. 咁啊，下邊呢塊板咧就會加熱到大概60度啦，上邊呢個噴嘴再加熱到200。Okay, and once the temperature is ready, then it will start printing. But let's put it here. Let me talk about other first before. 咁我呢度可以睇到佢喐未啊 ？Okay, so I will also show you how to stop it. Okay, I will also show you how to stop it. Okay, so now while we are waiting, I can talk about this. So some kind of concluding words. While we are waiting, I think in this particular workshop, I have showed you this thing. The different types of 3D printing available and typical FDM printing. And in case you would like to have some kind of higher resolution printing, you can go for resin printing. But remember to open your window. And there are some other industrial use techniques. So you can see the Sennheiser headphone or the large scale FDM printing for the aerospace industry. And how to prepare for 3D printing. So in case you are interested to print out something, you can look into the social network of this type of 3D design to see if there is some kind of design already available that is uploaded by somebody. You can download the design and then run your 3D printer. And what kind of software, and remember you need to have a slicer and the typical operation of 3D printer while we are printing. Okay, so these are some kind of changes that I have after I have bought a 3D printer. So I think the biggest change I encountered is this one. Okay, if I can make it, I don't need to buy it. So maybe I can share a story here while we are waiting. So last year, my PhD supervisor asked me something. So he have, like a lot of professors in their office, they have a coffee machine. And accordingly, he told me, oh, Joseph, I want to buy this thing. Okay, what do you want to buy? And he told me that I want a capsule dispenser like this. Okay, so my supervisor told me that he wanted to buy this thing. And I looked at the website, and I found that, and I've told my supervisor, this thing costs you 400 Hong Kong dollar. What a nonsense. Okay, now, so what if I go to the social network, search Nespresso here, and you will find a lot of people having their design uploaded on the internet at your disposal. So this is what I have told my supervisor. Okay, so just like this particular design, I think this particular design comes with different flavor. You can have 3 slot, 2 slot, 5 slot, and also there is some kind of. So it comes with different number of slots that you want, and then I've told my supervisor how many slots that you want. Okay, I can print it out for you. So basically, this is the design that I have chosen for my supervisor. So let me open the slides. Oh, it's working. So let us go back here first. Okay, so you can see the 3D printer now is moving and starting to print the first layer because the temperature is high enough. 咁啊，因為個溫度就夠啦，咁佢開始咧就會將呢個咧就升到最頂，就開始 print 個 first layer。So based on my own personal experience, as long as the first few layers is printed correctly, then you don't need to worry about the rest. Okay, usually it will be able to print successfully. So it will go to the highest level, and then it will start to do the printing. 咪頭嗰幾層係慢啲嘅，過咗3、4層之後就會快啲。同埋咧，個外圍會慢，但係入邊啲 infill 會好快。So usually, several 3 rounds around the desirable object, and then it will start the printing. 咁而家咧係都係啲 preparation 嚟嘅，佢會喺嗰個 print object 嘅外圍咧兜3個圈先。咁跟住先至會正式開始咧，就 print 你嗰個 desirable object 嘅。嗰個咧其實嗰個咧就佢個 machine 自己加落去嘅。咁其實因為佢開始嘅時候咧，佢應該咧好似原子筆唔係，好似啲原子筆有啲殘渣喺嗰度咧，係啦，佢就會咁樣畫一畫佢先嘅。OK， 咁佢應該開始印中間嗰啲嘢啦，係啦。Okay, so you can start. So you can see it start to print the first layer of this particular square. Okay, so there's nothing we can do other than observe whether the first layer is printed correctly. Now, based on my own personal experience, usually if the first few layers is printed correctly, then you don't need to worry about the rest. 一般嚟講，如果係 PLA printing 咧，頭嗰層咧，如果係頭嗰幾層，如果係嗰個 printing 係 success 嘅話咧，咁就一般再 print 額外上去咧，都唔會有啲咩大問題。係佢唔識 detect 係 success or not 嘅。OK，so 係啦，要人 involve 嘅。咁所以多數如果我嗰陣時印題呢啲咧，我就會我會臨走之前，我大概9點左右啦，我會 start 咗佢啦。我 make sure 頭嗰1、2層係冇問題啦，咁我就走㗎啦。OK， 咁我就會第2朝先翻嚟㗎啦。OK， so this is the model that I have downloaded for my supervisor for his coffee enjoyment, and so it's this one that I have picked. Okay, so and let me slide to see. So you can see, okay, it is only 118 grams of printing material. So basically, if you count $1 per gram, it's only 100 Hong Kong dollar. Okay, but of course, the printing material could be very cheap, and I will show you where to buy it. My supervisor told me he want to buy this thing. What a nonsense! 400 Hong Kong dollar. Choose a design, I will print it for you. Okay, with less amount, with much lower cost, and this is actually some kind of mindset that I have changed. Once you have a 3D printer, if I can make it, I don't need to buy it. I just go online to see if there are available 3D designs that I could download and print it out for my use. And these are some kind of designs that I have come up with throughout the years. So this is very interesting. I am one of the few people in this university still use a typewriter. And as you may know, typewriter nowadays, you cannot find the replacement parts. So I can do some kind of 3D printings of parts by measuring, let's say, this particular feet, and then I can basically replace something for my particular typewriter. So you may have some kind of questions like where to buy one. Of course, one way is to go through some kind of authorized retailer in Hong Kong. If you buy it from this particular direction, you will have some kind of warranty, and they will provide some kind of technical support in case you encounter some difficulty. I myself is a little bit different. I like DIY things. That's why I asked some of my students to go to Taobao to help me get one. So this one was brought directly from Taobao and during some kind of buyers festival. So this one, in fact, is very cheap. In Hong Kong, this one sells 2,700, 2,800 Hong Kong dollar. In Taobao, it is, if you convert to Hong Kong dollar, it's just 2,000 Hong Kong dollar. Okay, so this is, and also, these are some kind of locations that you could restock your supply. So usually, 5 rolls of these in a set cost you around 400 Hong Kong dollar if you get from Taobao. But if you get in Hong Kong, it is 200 Hong Kong dollar for 1 roll. Okay, so you are a smart person, you know how to make a choice. But of course, you need to sacrifice. If you buy from authorized retailer, usually you have the warranty. If you buy from Taobao directly, then very likely you need to do some kind of DIY and do some kind of maintenance by yourself. That is why I myself like to choose a brand that in case you encounter some difficulty, there will be some kind of help video available provided automatically, provided officially for you to how to repair this particular machine. So let me show you this short video here. So you can see in case you found something is stuck, okay, related to this machine, have step by step video telling you to disassemble this particular also and jam button. 我試過一次，嗰個塞咗咧，就真係要成個拆出嚟嗰種。But I can solve it by myself. I don't need to send it back to the factory. So some university run a makerspace like City University. In the library, they have the machine booking. They have some kind of dedicated staff to provide some kind of supervision and consultation for the student to run this sort of machine. And they charge by the material use. So for every gram of material used, they will charge $1, and the minimum charge is $20 per request. So if you are printing something that is lighter than 20 grams, you need to pay 20 grams. There are some kind of commercialized printing model as well, just like you send some of your poster to the printing press. What you need to do is send them the STL file to the vendor. They will give you a quotation, and if you are happy with the price, they will send you the completed model, and then you need to pay for the material with the shipment. The completed model will be delivered to you. Let's say, for example, 順豐咁樣俾返你。Okay, so there are the commercial way of running this type of 3D model. So some of your printout may be too large, or maybe you don't even have a 3D printer. So for those situations, you may need to use their service because they may have an industrial scale 3D printer that can print a very large printout. So finally, about some kind of things that is happening now and in the future. Currently, I think Jason from ATLC, he is writing a proposal on some kind of digital literacy for the university-wide project. And I think later on, if we've got the funding, we will have set up some kind of creator space in the library. There will be some kind of 3D printer for the university student to access. But during this transition period, I am also running some kind of pilot with the research center that belongs to our department. So currently, you can see I provide some kind of my personal access to the student for them to develop a creative mind. This particular 3D printer, some kind of computer that is AI capable. So this particular beautiful girl was drawn by me using Stable Diffusion. Okay, 咁呢個係 AI 畫出嚟嘅，呢個唔係真嘅。So and also I have just recently bought a M2 Mac Mini for the student just in case they need a machine to do some kind of video editing. And I think this is just a pilot for a very small scale. Later on, if the university has funding, they will have some kind of university-wide 3D printing makerspace that is available for the whole university. So I think this is all for my presentation today. And you can see the first layer is now printing, and 咁啊，你可以睇下就係而家咧就印到咧就第一層嘅一半啦。So you can see that 3D printing itself is a little bit slow. You can have the time approximation using the slicer program, but I think time is limited now, so that I have to stop it. 咁啊冇辦法，咁啊因為咧就時間關係，我又要搬翻上 office 咧，咁所以就要 stop 咗佢啦。Okay, so stopping is very simple. So as long as you press stop, then it will stop by itself, and then this print bed will go to the to the lowest level. And these are some kind of 3D printing tool that I have printed from my 3D printer for 3D printing purpose. 係啦，咁呢個咧就係，因為咧呢個咧其實如果係佢未凍翻嘅話咧，佢會黐到實嘅，特別係你落咗漿糊咧。咁所以呢個咧又係上網 download 落嚟啦，整呢個層。Okay, so to remove the material from the heat bed. So you can see that the intermediate printing result is like that. And if after 3 hours, you will see something like that is sticking here. And accordingly, you can download some kind of tools to remove something from. Okay, so because it is quite sticky. So anyway, now the last thing that I can show you is that while it is still heating, I can remove the filament for storage. So the last thing that I can demonstrate here is that I can reheat the filament for storage purpose. So this is the last thing that I would like to demonstrate here. 咁啊，最後好似我頭先咁講啦，你 keep 住喺度，佢如果暴露喺啲濕嘅空氣入邊嘅話咧，佢會影響佢 print 出嚟嗰個 smoothness。OK， 咁所以咧，一般嚟講，如果我唔係 keep 住有日 print 嘅話咧，我都係或者我而家要搬翻上去我 office 嘅話咧，咁我就會將個 filament 拉翻出嚟。But there is some steps that you need to initiate, or else it will jam up. So last time I have a jam because I have removed the filament in the wrong way. That is why, just like the video that I've shown you, I need to remove all the things according to the instruction to unjam the filament inside. But now I know how to operate this thing, so you don't need to worry about it. As long as it goes to 240, and as long as it gives you a signal that you could remove it, then you can remove it. Okay, so what you need to do is just like this and then press OK. Okay, so this is the way you remove the filament from the 3D printer. Okay, so usually I will put it this way to make sure that it is not hiding itself up. So okay, so I can. Okay, so that is cool. And okay, I can turn it off. Okay, so this is all the demonstration for today. Thank you very much for coming. And in case you have any questions later related to 3D printing, feel free to contact me. The contact information is on the handout. Okay, thank you very much for coming. Hope that you find it inspirational.